My name is Renaud Salmon. I am the Chief Creative Officer of Amouage. If you have not attended the presentation this morning of my CEO, Marco, very short recap about Amouage. So Amouage is what we call a high perfumery house. It was created a bit more than 40 years ago in the Sultanate of Oman to be the gift of kings. And it was created by His late Majesty Sultan Qaboos. Marco mentioned that we manufacture our products in our beautiful manufacturer in Muscat. That's where I have the chance to live. And every product is manufactured by hand. And today we produce more than 1 million products per year. Okay, so that's the short recap about Amouage. I want to start actually with one conviction. The whole thinking about the Amouage retail strategy starts with one conviction. Why do you travel? Why do you shop? Why do you come here and so on? It's because, you know, we are all, by human nature, we are all curious. We want to experience newness. So newness is a feeling, you know, that moves us, and it's deep inside of you. We want, as human beings, to experience newness. Now, how does Amouage define newness? It's not up to Amouage to define newness. It's up to you. It's up to the client, the customer, to define newness. And newness is a very simple equation. It's the difference between two elements. What your expectations are and the experience that someone can deliver. Okay, that's newness. So that little gap in the middle is where the magic in retail happens. That's what we are convinced about. Okay? So we want to make that gap very exciting. We want to make that gap the whole retail experience and make it actually as wide as possible. So how do we make it as wide as possible? We start actually by looking at the expectations. How do we define expectations in retail and in perfumery? Think like 5 seconds. If you have to use 3 words to describe a perfumery store to someone who does not know what a perfumery store is. 3 words. You might say shelves, back walls, gondolas, perfumes, lots of perfumes, right? Well, that's the expectations. And then if I say perfumery store in the Middle East, your brain might add, okay, gold, ornaments, maybe carpets, Arabic windows, and so on, right? Well, the good thing is that today we have AI to do that job for us. So I did the exercise. AI gave me exactly what I just mentioned. And by the way, so if we move, this is what an Amouage boutique looked like a bit more than 6 years ago. And I would argue, you know, quite in line with the expectations, maybe a bit more tasteful than the illustrations we've seen from AI. Now, is that enough? No. Because the gap is very, very, very small. It's actually the boutique was in line with the expectations. So together with our long-term design partners, Heroine, we sat down during the pandemic with one dream, actually, to really create the biggest gap possible that would remain true to the heritage of Amouage, true to the ethos of Amouage and what Amouage stands for. And the outcome of it was a boutique, and I would like to show you a video about that boutique. So that boutique is not in New York, it's not in Milan, it's not in Paris, it's in Oman. We wanted to create probably, possibly, you know, the most revolutionary perfumery boutique in the world. That was the ambition, a boutique with no shelves, no back walls, and the products are barely visible. You know, in perfumery, we have this tendency to put a lot of products like medals on jackets at the army or something like that. Well, here, you discover the product, you need to look for them. The products were nearly hidden. I can tell you that the results have been amazing. Today, it's one of the best-selling, actually, boutique, if you just look at the sales, if not the best-selling boutique at Amouage. But much more than that, you know, I think it repositioned completely Amouage on the map of perfumery. Since then, we've been redesigning the whole network of Amouage boutiques around the world. So what makes those boutiques very, very unique and special is that conviction that I mentioned about the creation of newness. Each boutique is different. You will see different materials, different colors, but I'm sure you will agree that they all kind of look like they are part of the same design ethos, and in the end, they are part of Amouage. So since then, I would like to highlight just 5 key points that we are always following when we work on a boutique or a retail environment. And I think they are quite different than the usual retail when it comes to perfumery and luxury in general. So point number 1, the store is the story. The product is not the story. If you think about perfumery, you always think, okay, this is my latest launch. I'm going to put it in the windows. I'm going to glorify it. I'm going to put it everywhere and so on. It's going to take over because newness is important. Well, not for us. The store is the story. And it changes dramatically, actually, the way you approach retail. And each store has a different story. This is Abu Dhabi, the story of the pearls, because Abu Dhabi was known to be an important place for pearls. This is Zhangyuan in China. And by the way, so this is the boat of Sinbad the sailor who sailed from Oman to China. So always that connection between Oman and the place where the boutique is. The next one is about a frankincense tree, actually, in Oman, an important ingredient from Oman. The next store is a petite boutique in Harrods. It's a story of a Bedouin tent, because this is what unites Amouage and Harrods, this idea of hospitality and delighting guests. So always, always, the boutique is the story. Second point, very important one as well, it's an idea I've been pushing for a few years now, the idea of unselfish boutique. We believe that when clients smell a boutique that screams, buy my products, it blocks them. And we want to convey the impression that actually what matters is not to materialize every single sale possible, but to create that connection. And it goes through space design that does not feel too calculated. It goes actually to gestures that come from the heart and not from Excel sheets. The third point, is physical storytelling as content. Every time I mention storytelling, Amouage loves storytelling and so on, people naturally go to my digital team, the studio and so on, so everything that has to do with virtual content, digital content and so on. Well, guess what? Our boutiques are the best, or one of the best platforms, together with our manufacturer, to create content. Obviously, every time we have an event in the boutique, every time actually we use content because every single boutique is connected and has the possibility to display content, but also you will see around the creation of the boutiques. So I'm going to move to the next slide. So that's the one. Creation is the brand. So what we are doing actually, we want people not only to visit the boutique when the boutique is opened or once it is opened, but actually to visit the boutique when we start sketching it the very first day we work on a boutique, well before actually the opening date of the boutique. So we talk about the creation, we talk about the manufacturing of the different elements. We also talk about the challenges and the mistakes. And we talk also about installation. You might think, installation is not sexy, but guess what? It's part of the life of the brand. So every time there is one of those masterpieces that arrive in a city or something like that, we tell the story live, as close as possible to real time. Luxury has a tendency to post-rationalize stories. We want to be as close as possible to real time with high quality content. The next principle is an important one, and it's the last one. Act like a newcomer with heritage. We always tend to feel, are you an heritage house or are you a newcomer? Because if you're a heritage, you know what? Your aesthetic is going to be the atelier, the craft, a little bit dusty and so on, but very credible. If you're the newcomer, you're going to be trendy, you're going to be high energy, but don't talk about craft and so on, because this is for the heritage houses and so on. Well, what we are trying to do is really that balance. And I hope you see it through our retail experience. It's about heritage, but brought to life in a way that feels very modern and in touch with its time. We are facing quite some challenges, obviously, as we scale up, because it requires a lot of effort. It requires, to be in the details of everything. So moving forward, what we need to make sure is that we can scale this model up And it's going to be really about being unpredictable, remaining unpredictable with a lot of discipline and making sure that we are not obsessed about screaming everywhere loud, but actually creating that tension to make sure that, we keep on surprising people. And by the way, so talking about surprising people, if you recall, I told you that one of the key principles was we are going to hide the products in the first boutique that we redesigned. Well, guess what? You're currently sitting, all of you, on top of one of our products. So we've had a presentation for 12 minutes that talked about eye perfumery, and it's quite bad because we've not smelled. So I wanted all of you to leave with a product of Amouage. So under your seat, if you look, if you place your hand, you might be able to find a little vial. So it's at the front of your seat. So all of you, the product was there since the beginning, and that's the spirit behind what we do at Amouage. A big thank you to all of you, and I hope that you were inspired. I remain within the allocated time, so thank you. And I would like to say it could not happen without the whole team at Amouage, without our partners. So all of you, I could not name all of you, but big, big, big thank you. And see you soon. Thank you.